Hello YouTube, it is your boy, B3, back to another kicking movie reaction review. I have binged so many horror films recently. Then I feel like I'm going to start watching some more sci-fi action adventure stuff. And there's one sci-fi action adventure film that I've been wanting to watch since I was a kid, because I saw it in Fantastic Dinosaurs of the movies, which I still watch to this day. I have 2 copies of it. At the Earth's Core from 1976. It is a film produced by Britain's Amicus Productions. Pretty cool. Directed by Kevin Connor. Theatrical poster by Tom Cantrell. Produced by John Dark, Max Rosenberg, and Milton Subotsky. Screenplay by Milton Subotsky. Based on At the Earth's Core, the 1914 novel by Edgar Rice Burroughs. I've read a good bit of his work, but I haven't read this. Starring Doug McClure, Peter Cushing, and Caroline Munro. All pretty recognizable names in like the sci-fi, kind of like adventure-y cult, fandom. Because, Doug McClure was in like Warlords of Atlantis, The Land That Time Forgot, The People That Time Forgot. He's got a Simpsons character based on him. Like Peter Cushing, most people know him from Star Wars. Yeah. But he's the original trilogy, yes, and his CGI double as well. But also Hammer. He's in a lot of Hammer films, Hammer horror films. And then Caroline Munro was recognizable to me because she was in one of Ray Harryhausen's Sinbad movies. Yeah, Golden Voyage, I believe. Yeah, Golden Voyage. Sacrificed her to the Cyclops Centaur. Music by Mike Vickers, cinematography by Elaine Hume, edited by John Ireland and Barry Peters, produced by American International Pictures and Amicus Productions, distributed by American International Pictures, British Lion Films as well, Sony Pictures Entertainment, Release date December 23rd, 1976, so I'm actually reviewing this a few days before the anniversary on 2020. Runtime 89 minutes. Country United Kingdom and United States co-production. Language English. Budget $1.5 million. Cool. Whew, excuse me, I just got real gunky there for a second. But yeah, so it's about these 2 geologists who build this big drilling machine. And they want to test it by drilling to the other side of, like, a hill. They call it a hill, but it looks more like a mountain. And when they do, something kind of goes wrong, and it starts moving too fast and dipping down. And eventually they kind of get stuck in the Earth's core, which turns out to be a kind of... I like how they did it in this movie. Because in a lot of these world existing inside the Earth films, it's like, it's just dinosaurs down there, basically. It's not dinosaurs. It's like more original monsters. It's like dinosaurs were down there and they didn't die out because they were sheltered from the meteor and the Ice Age and etc. So they kept evolving. So like the first monster we see is like this... It's kind of a dinosaur, but it also kind of looks like a parrot. I actually thought it was really cool. We also run into... It turns out there are humans living down there who speak English miraculously. And they're being kept as slaves by 2 other races. First we see kind of the... like military... This one race that's basically just like the military for the higher race. And they're kind of... They kind of look like pig people, basically. They take humans as slaves, and when they're taking the slaves back to the place where the big, like, there are like 3 intelligent species living here underneath the Earth, and the one that's in charge of everything, they're taking them to them. And then on the way, one of the slaves gets eaten by this giant dinosaur warthog man, which was a cool idea. And then 2 of the giant warthog men fight, and it's fun, it's dope. And then they get there, and it turns out the big race is actually a bunch of pterosaurs that have evolved to not only be hyper-intelligent, but also telepathic, so they can, like, mesmerize people and give people commands and, like, talk to them in their minds and stuff. We never actually hear them speak into someone's mind, but we see it happen, and I think it's interesting that they didn't let us hear us speak. But eventually Doug McClure escapes without Peter Cushing. Peter Cushing plays like this professor. Doug McClure plays one of his graduated students. And then Caroline Munro is like the princess of a human tribe down there. And all the human tribes unite by the end to defeat the pterosaurs, which is the big goal of this movie, is defeat the evil pterosaur people and then escape. So yeah, they do that, you know? Doug McClure kind of rallies all of these human tribes together to go fight the things. And there's also this subplot of like romance where he sees the princess and it's kind of like love at first sight, and he wants to smash. So, but according to their rules, he has to like best the others who want her in combat, and there are two others that want her. One who's known as kind of like a tricky dude, kind of a Loki type, and then one guy who's like let me smash, both literally and metaphorically, like he's just a fuck 'em up kind of guy, kind of Thor style. But neither of them have any redeemable qualities like those characters kind of do. So, yeah, there's this one weird scene where Doug McClure has just learned about one of the guys, the big tough one, not the tricky one. They call him the ugly one and the tricky one. That's literally what they're called in the movie. He just learns about the ugly one, and really, it's none of the dude's business. But he kills the ugly one, and it's basically just murder, because he didn't even have to face him in combat. He could have said, like, you know, murdering people isn't worth this woman that I literally just met and don't know anything about. Like, they have almost no time to bond at all. Because he sees her in the first act, and then she disappears in the first act, and she's gone for the entire second act, and she reappears in the third act. See, so Caroline Munro is absent for half the movie. But he still wants to smash. But eventually they do overthrow the pterosaurs, and we get to see some other monsters, like this big carnivorous plant, and like a fire salamander, like this little creature that shoots fire out its mouth. So it's not a lot of creatures, but all the creatures are very interesting. The effects in this movie are all practical. I mean, just look at the dates, you know, it's going to be all practical. And I like them. Are they super good effects? No, they're like not really good effects, but they're fun effects. You know what I mean? It's like even though they didn't come out looking good, they obviously tried super hard on them, you know? The sets look pretty dope, though. I like the sets, you know, for a fun, kind of pulpy action-adventure film. It's got some, I like the setting of it, you know, with the purple sky and everything. Like all the light and stuff in this world is, like, either purple or red, because it's coming from, like, lava and magma and stuff. Because there's no sun down there, you know? It's very, very interesting concept. I mean, now it's kind of an overdone concept that, you know, the whole monsters living inside the earth thing. You know, it's even the MonsterVerse is still doing it to this day. But yeah, I did enjoy it. The acting it kind of varies. Like, it's mostly fine. Peter Cushing, like, blows it away. Like, his performance, like, the dude is a good actor, you know? I think he easily had the best performance in this movie. Even though everyone really talks about Doug McClure being in this movie, Peter Cushing gave the best performance. Doug McClure is just the main character, had the most screen time, he did the most, but Peter Cushing had the best performance. Caroline Munro and Doug McClure did well, of course, but, you know, Peter Cushing was there, so sorry. Sorry, guys. So they defeat the pterosaurs, and then, like, in order for their thing to work, their drill, it has to be kind of shot downward, and then they can, like, push down and dig up, which they don't explain, but I kind of just figured that out from the natives having to build them a ramp to shoot it down. But when they arrived in the Earth's core, they lost power. I don't know how they restored power. And there's a lot of stuff in this film that just like doesn't make sense, isn't explained, is done for no reason, etc., etc., etc. It's odd. Like there are a lot of odd things. Like for instance, I'll just give you an example. I'm not going to tell you everything. Um, that's more of a Brandon Tinnell thing. In fact, I think he did do this movie, but Mystery Science Theater did this film also, I believe. But yeah, so that when the pterosaurs are making everybody slaves and stuff, they give them all different jobs. And then the professor, they didn't give. He's like an older man, and I guess they could like read his mind and stuff and tell he was smart. So they were like, okay, well he's gonna like transcribe, copies of our texts for us because they have like tablets with information on them, like stone tablets, obviously. And Peter Cushing has to like copy these letters onto different tablets, so they have like copies of them and stuff. So he's like basically a record keeper. They basically take Peter Cushing's professor character, which they call Doc the whole movie, and they basically make him a record keeper. And apparently he learns a ton of stuff about them while keeping the records, which doesn't make any sense because he can just read their language. He just can. He just can. He just can. Even though it's like completely fictional lettering that's, and these are letters and words invented by highly involved pterosaurs. They have no connection to human culture. Like, remember in King Kong when they go up to the natives and, like, the skipper's like, oh, their language is very similar to this dialect that I know from these islands. I don't remember what islands. But it's like not the same language, but it's close enough that they're able to communicate. Like, I could suspend my disbelief for that. I can't suspend my disbelief for this man. There's no way he could have known anything about that language. It's the language of the pterosaur people. I doubt even the fucking people born in that world know it. It was very strange, and a lot of other strange stuff like that happened. But now I want to talk about my favorite part of the movie, because Doug McClure has to fight and like kill two guys to marry Caroline Munro's character, the princess. And then he's like, all right, let's get married now. I beat all the competition. I killed for you. And then she's like, no. She's like, we can't get married. We're from two different worlds. I don't want to leave my world. You don't want to stay here. It wouldn't work out. It just wouldn't work out. Neither of us would have a place in the other's world. He would probably have a place in her world, kind of, but it would still never truly be his world, even though he's like a hero down there. So he has to leave her. And I was kind of hoping that would happen when I was watching the film, because I feel like that's what would happen in real life, probably. If there was a culture of people completely disconnected from our modern society living under the earth, and then someone went down there and fell in love with one of them, part of me doubts they'd come back, and I doubt the other person would stay. So yeah, I didn't see it happening, and I kind of always want movies to do that, because remember, I think it was in The People That Time Forgot. They brought a woman back with them, and I was like, that's gonna be weird. That's gonna be real weird. And in this one, she's like, this is my land. I can't leave it. But thanks for killing all the men who wanted to marry me that I didn't like. And of course, there's no way he could have really loved her anyways. It was basically just lust. And they do treat her like shit in the movie. All the men. Even Doug McClure does treat her like an object in the film. His character does. Not Doug McClure himself. His character does. Because, I mean, it's a female character in an action-adventure movie from the 70s, so I don't know what you expected, but she is basically referred to as an object. It's like men have to fight over her, and whoever wins gets to marry her, and she doesn't have a choice who she marries, because it's up to the men. And I know the society is supposed to be more primitive than ours in it, but it seems to only be more primitive technology wise and just that one social way because it's like several different races in a single tribe just living in harmony. Like there doesn't seem to be any racism between humans down there that I could tell of. But there were three different intelligent races, two of which got along, and then they just beat up on the humans all the time. But final thoughts on At the Earth's Core from 1976. Is it a good movie? No. No. But is it a fun movie? Hell yeah. Like, I found it enjoyable. I thought it was very fun. I think it was better than The People That Time Forgot. But I think I liked The Land That Time Forgot much more than this one. I can't tell you my thoughts on Warlords of Atlantis because I don't think it's streaming anywhere, for one thing. And also, Warlords of Atlantis never had a U.S. home video release. Ever. So I'm going to be hard-pressed to find and review that movie, but I do want to review all four of these Doug McClure sci-fi action-adventure films. That being said, I have already reviewed The Land That Time Forgot and The People That Time Forgot starring Doug McClure. So definitely check that out. If you want to watch this film, you can watch it on Vudu or Amazon Prime Video. I watched it on Amazon Prime Video. They both cost about the same to rent on both websites, so it doesn't really matter which one you use. But the Amazon has fun facts on movies sometimes. Like one fun fact about this movie is a stuntman lost a finger doing a stunt with Doug McClure in this movie. So like that's the fun, interesting thing. But that's it. Thank you all very much for your support. Remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. Check out all the cool links in the description below, Facebook, Twitter, etc. And I'll see you all next time.